Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this basic bodice using the bust dart technique. So if you're interested in this video, please keep on watching. So I'm going to be using the basic bodice block that I drafted in my previous video. If you're yet to watch it, I'm going to put the link to the video in the description of this video. So I'm just going to take out my paper tape from the bust dart of this bodice, as you can see here. Next, the fabric that I'm working with is called pocketing. It is similar to calico or muslin fabric. So as you can see here, I have folded my fabric into two and I have placed my front bodice right on the center fold of the fabric, and I'm just going to pin my pattern paper to the fabric. Next, I'm going to cut out my front bodice, cutting through the neckline and also through the shoulder slant and also through the armhole area. Once I'm done, I'm just going to notch where my waist dart is. So guys, please note that you're going to be cutting out two pieces for your front bodice. Next, I'm also going to be notching through my bust dart right there on my pattern paper. For the back, as you can see, my fabric is already folded into two. What I'm going to do next is that I'm going to also fold into two, making it a total of 4. Then I'm going to place my back pattern right there, pin it together with the fabric, and then I'll be cutting it. So remember, for the front you're going to be cutting out 2 pieces, while for the back I'm cutting out 4 pieces here, 2 for the main bodice and 2 for the lining. So I'm just going to cut through like this. Please take your time while cutting, no need to rush, okay? Next, I'm going to be placing notches at my waist dart the same way I did for the front. After that, I'm also going to be placing a notch right there at my zipper allowance line. Right here guys, you can see I have 2 pieces for my front. Next, I'm going to be marking out the dart length on my pattern paper. I'm going to where I placed the notch right there at my waistline and mark exactly what I have for my dart length on my pattern paper. I'm also going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the bodice. Once I'm done, I'm going to connect the lines together with my ruler. Next guys, I'm also going to be marking out my bust dart right there. I'm going to measure my bust dart length right on my pattern paper and mark exactly what I have right there at the notched part of the bust dart area. So because my fabric is a little bit white or off-white, it's going to be hard seeing the markings, but I'm going to explain step by step what I did. So I'm just taking my ruler to connect the lines like so, and I'm also repeating it on the other side. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat exactly the same thing on the lining for the front bodice, marking out my waist dart and my bust dart and connecting the lines together. Once I'm done marking at the dart, I'm just going to put away the fabric pieces for the front away and focus on the back. For the back, I'm going to repeat the same thing of marking my dart length on my pattern paper and marking the same thing right there at the notch part of my waist dart. Okay, so I'm just going to do the same thing on the other part of the back. Once I'm done with the main bodice for the back, I'm also going to repeat exactly the same thing on the lining pieces. So guys, once I'm done marking out everything, we're going to move to the sewing machine. First, we're going to sew the waist dart and bust dart of the front. I'm just going to fold the notched part of the waist dart on my front bodice like so. I'm also going to pin where the dart is going to end like so. So this is how I'll be sewing the dart. I'm just going to place it under my machine and sew. So guys, as I approach the end of the dart, okay, I'm not going to back stitch at all. Just watch. What I'm going to do next is to form a knot between the two threads left there. I did this for like 3 times. This is to enable the dart relax at that area with no puckering at all. So I'm just going to trim off the excess thread. So as you can see, there are no puckerings at the end of the dart. So I'm going to sew my bust dart next. I'm just going to pin where the dart begins, and I'm also going to pin where the darts will also end too. Then I'm going to sew. As I approach the end of the dart, I'm also not going to backstitch. So I'm also going to be forming a knot with the 2 threads left there and trim off excess thread. So this is what we have. Because my fabric is white, it's a little bit difficult seeing what I have done, but I'll explain. So I've gone ahead to repeat the same thing on the lining piece for the front bodice, as you can see. So guys, I'm also going to be sewing the back darts at the waistline area. I'm just repeating the same process that I did while sewing the darts for the front. I'm going to fold the notch right there at the waist dart area, and then I'm going to pin it together. Also, I'm going to pin where the dart ends too. Then I'm going to sew like that. I'll repeat the same thing of not back stitching where my dart ends. Rather, I'm going to form knots with the 2 threads left there. I did it for about 3 times. Then I'll trim off the excess thread. As you can see, there are no poke rings at the end of my darts right there. Next, I'm going to repeat the same thing for the 3 pieces left for my back bodice. After that, I have gone ahead to iron flat the darts for my front bodice. As you can see, they are all looking well laid, so you should try to do the same for yours too. Next, I'm going to be sewing the neckline area, the armhole area for the front by 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm also going to be doing the same thing at the waistline area. So I've gone ahead to pin. Note we are not going to sew the shoulder seam allowance yet, just the neckline, the armhole, the waistline. When I'm done, I'm going to flip the fabric inside out through this opening right here. I'm done. I'm just going to trim the excess seam allowance that I have right there at my neckline area. I'm also going to do the same at my armhole area too, and also at the waistline. After trimming, I'm just going to place my hand this way and pull the fabric inside out like so. So I'm just taking my time to make sure that all edges of the fabric are out. So when I'm done, guys, I'm going to give the front bodice a good press. So to the back, I have gone ahead to sew on my darts and giving each and every one of them a good press. Next, we are also going to be sewing the neckline of the back by 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm just pinning them together. I'm also going to be sewing the armhole by 1/2 inch too. That is fabric and lining together. I'm also going ahead to pin the waistline together too. Next, I'm just going to sew using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Nothing more than that, please. After sewing, I'm just going to go ahead and trim off excess seam allowances. I'm doing this because the fabric is transparent. If you don't trim off the excess seam allowances, it's going to be very visible from the good side of the fabric. So I'm also going to flip the fabric inside out from the zipper allowance area. So I'm just taking my time to pull out all edges of the fabric like so. I'm also repeating the same thing for the second part of the back. So when I'm done, I'm going to give it a good press. As you can see, I have ironed it. Next, I'm going to mark out my 1 inch zipper allowance right there at the center back. I'm going to do that from the neckline of the back down to the waistline. When I'm done with this one, I'm also going to do the same on the second side. So guys, I'm going to be using this white zipper for the back. I'm going to be placing this part of the zipper right on the 1 inch mark on the back. Make sure that the edge of the zipper matches up with the edge of your bodice, okay? So I'm just making sure that they both match up, and I'm going to pin it together. Make sure that you're placing the zipper right on the 1 inch mark that you made for your zipper allowance. You're not supposed to take more than that, neither are you supposed to go lesser than that. 1 inch should be 1 inch. So guys, I'm going to sew close to my zip teeth, okay, all the way to the neckline of the back bodice. As you can see, I am done sewing. This is what I have. To finish the zip at the neckline of the back, I'm just going to open the zip like this. Then I'm going to fold the zip this way. Make sure that the neckline is not bent while you fold the zip. So I'm just taking my time to adjust as I fold the zip. When I'm satisfied, I'm just going to take my pin and pin the zip to the fabric. After doing that, guys, I'm just going to turn to the back and note where I want the zip to end. So I'm just going to turn it over like this and pin that area. So this is how it's going to look like when I'm sewing. I'm also going to repeat the same thing at the other side of the back, folding the zip this way, making sure that the neckline is not bent, pinning it in position. Then I'm going to check where I want the zip to end at the back, like so. I have noted that, so I'm going to pin that place right there. So this is how I'm going to sew it. I'm just going to sew it to the point where I want the zip to end, like so. When I get there, I'm just going to backstitch and trim off the excess thread. So I'm going ahead to cut off the excess zipper that I don't need. So I'm repeating the same thing for the other part of the back right here. Backstitching when I'm done and trimming off the excess thread and trimming off the excess zipper that I don't need. So guys, I'm done fixing the zipper. If you have an overlocker, go ahead to overlock the extra zipper allowances. So next, I'm placing the front and back together, good side to good side. We are going to be sewing the two shoulders together, shoulder slants together by 1/2 inch seam allowances. So I'm going ahead to pin them together. I'll also do the same for the other side, and then I'm going to sew them together. Remember, 1/2 inch seam allowance. So guys, when I'm done, I'm going to also overlock the edges of the shoulder slants. Okay, next I'm going to be sewing the side seam allowances by 1 inch because that was what I added while drafting. So that is what I'm doing right now, sewing by 1 inch. So if yours is 2 inches, please go ahead and sew by 2 inches. Okay, after sewing them together, this is what I have. I have overlocked my side seam allowances like so. I have also overlocked the extra zipper allowances right there. Also, I have overlocked the two shoulder slants. I have also given the bodice a good press. This is the front and this is the back. So guys, this is where the video ends. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Okay, so this is how it looks like on me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel guys, and also turn on post notification for more videos, and I'll see you all in my next video. Thanks for watching.